Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss acceptable use policies known as AUPs. In this session, we're going to be focusing on acceptable use policy, the purpose of the AUPs, the scope of the AUPs, and give you specific examples. They might be a little bit specific in terms of how do we conduct ourselves as employees of the company. What's acceptable, what's not. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com.
Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today.
First, we're going to start with the purpose and the scope of the AUPs. The AUPs, they aim to provide users, usually employees, with a clear understanding of the policy goals, which include what? Protecting the organization assets, technology, and making sure that these assets are used efficiently and ethically. So you cannot use them for something other than work, and you are using them ethically, and you're complying with legal and regulatory obligation. That's the main concern of the company. So all the AUPs should serve this aim. So by defining roles, responsibilities, acceptable behavior, and the repercussion of non-compliance, also in the AUPs, they will tell you if you don't comply, this is what's going to happen. The AUP ensures that all users are on the same page, so you're not surprised regarding the do's and don'ts of technology use within the organization. So the AUPs not only apply to the office premises itself, but also applies to remote work environment and other, maybe traveling, where organizational resources are accessed. This means whether you are working from a cafe, from your home, or from the office, from the headquarters, the same rules and expectation should apply. Now, usually those AUPs, when you start a job, they are usually spelled out in your handbook, and they usually make you read it and sign it. So this is the closest thing I can kind of help you to touch what AUPs are. We're going to look at few rules, few general rules that you need to be familiar with for the CPA exam, but think about your employee handbook. What can and can't you do? For example, they might have an AUP about personal devices for business activities. Can you bring your personal device to business activities? Well, that's a good thing. You're using your own asset, not using the company's asset. However, remember, personal devices can also access the same information and the same data that your computer at work can access. So there's a risk for the company. So they have to have a policy about what's allowed and what's not. For example, organization may allow employees to use their personal devices for work-related activities under specific guidelines. For example, this segment might clarify what's permitted and under what circumstances. So you might be allowed to use your personal smartphone to access company email, but only if the device is secured with a password or biometric lock and has up-to-date security software installed. So basically in the AUP, they would say, yes, you could download the email platform on your phone, and we have to have certain security procedures are in place. So this will be an example of an AUP. Another similar AUP is approved mobile devices. In other words, you'll have an AUP, an acceptable use policy, about certain mobile devices. So not all devices might be suitable for work purposes. Why? Because of security or compatibility reasons. So this part of the AUP would list the mobile devices that are approved for business purposes, and the company might require that those devices that support encryption and secure connection to the company network, such as smartphone and tablets running the latest version of their operating system, before they allow you to use any approved mobile devices. Also, they might include a mobile device AUP. They might include focusing on guidelines for using mobile devices like tablet, smartphones, or smartwatches. Why? Why this is important? Because these devices, if you have a personal device and you're connected to the network, they grant you access to the same organizational resources once you are connecting as a conventional computers that you're using at your desk. This includes access to data, system, apps. So key aspect of a mobile device AUP would include rules for securing devices with password. For example, if you want to bring your device, it has to be secured by a password. Requirement, for example, for using multi-factor authentication. If you want to log in, we want to make sure you're the right person. You have to input your password, and you have to have a token or some sort of a secondary device that's going to give you an authentication. Encryption protocol to protect the data. All the data on your computer should be encrypted, on your tablet, on your phone. Guidelines for safe browsing. You cannot visit certain websites, certain forums. You cannot download certain apps. Conditions for using public Wi-Fi network. For example, you cannot use Wi-Fi network that are unsecured. You cannot go to your local cafe and use that network. Restriction on downloading apps and file to ensure security. So an AUP will spell out those rules. Also, an AUP might touch upon device maintenance. This section might emphasize the importance of keeping the device in good working condition. Good working condition means what? Means it's secure, updated on a regular basis, and free from malware. Are you going to do it? Are they going to do it? It will be spelled out there. For example, employees are responsible for installing security update and patches for the operating system and application on their devices as soon as they become available. Or do they have to do it themselves? Confidentiality. Now you have company data on your cell phone, company data on your tablet. What's the policy? Maintaining the confidentiality is important, especially for healthcare companies and companies with sensitive data. This clause details the expectation and practices to safeguard sensitive data. What can you do, what you cannot do. Confidential documents should not be stored on personal devices unless they are encrypted, and should be securely deleted when no longer needed. They will give you specific enforcement. Also, the company will have the right, for example, to monitor and enforce any company devices. This is part of the AUP. So if you're using their computers, they have the right to go in, check out what you are browsing. That's part of their monitoring and enforcement. To ensure compliance with the AUP, the organization reserves the right to monitor usage and enforce policy on all company devices. Now, can they do it on your personal device? Depending on the AUP. So the IT department may use software to track installation of unauthorized application or access to a prohibited website and take appropriate action if violation are detected. Also, they might restrict you from downloading certain software or going through certain websites, certain activities. This segment might list activities and the type of software that are not allowed on the company devices, such as installing of unapproved application or accessing certain website. For example, here's what happened. If you work in a certain industry, they might have a forum, a public forum where, if you are in the selling of pharmaceutical, you may go to that forum and see what's going on in the industry. On this forum, what they do, certain people, they might set up a malware, and you might download it in good faith because the forum has a good reputation, but the user on these forums might try to trick you. So that's why you cannot access certain website. Also, for example, you cannot have streaming services. You cannot have Netflix. You cannot use social media platform unless required for business. For example, you want to use LinkedIn. If this is a social media platform, it might be allowed. And peer-to-peer file sharing application might be prohibited. So again, here, what they would do, they will spell out what's restricted and what's not on either your own device or the company's device. This is part of the AUP. Also, software required for security purposes. They might ask you to install certain software on your system in order to be able to use it for work purposes. Certain security software must be installed on devices accessing company resources to protect against threats. For example, antivirus software, firewalls, VPN clients are typically mandatory for all devices connecting to the organization network. Although it's your device, you have to have those software. Security requirement, here they will outline the security measures that users must adhere to. Creating strong password, using two-factor authentication, reporting any suspected security incidents immediately. If you report it immediately, then the company is aware of it, they can take action. For example, the password should be complex, change on a regular basis, and not reused across different services or account. Also, the AUPs will outline terms about termination if policy is violated. If the policy is violated, they have to let you know what would happen. Oftentimes, you could be terminated. So the AUP must clearly state the consequences of failing to comply with the policy, including disciplinary action, up to and including termination of employment. For example, violation that compromise the security of the company data or infringe on the privacy of others will result in immediate investigation with penalties ranging from warning to letting you go, dismissal, depending on the severity of the breach and the company policy. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. The requirement for software updates and patches as part of a mobile device AUP is crucial for what purpose? So let's take a look at the answers. Guaranteeing that device operate at its maximum speed, ensuring that devices remain compatible with all new technology trends, keeping the device and data secure by addressing known vulnerabilities, making sure that employees have the latest feature and user interface improvement. So what is the requirement for software update? Okay. Is it to make sure the device is operating at the maximum speed? No, sometimes the new update might slow down the system. And speed is not necessarily the reason for the update. It could be for security reasons. So I would say speed is not guaranteeing the device operate at a maximum speed. That's it. That's really an easy elimination. Ensuring that device remain compatible with all new technology trend doesn't have to. Why all new technology trend? What if that technology trend is not relevant to our company? I would not say that will be a reason for a mobile device AUP. Keeping the device and data secure by addressing known vulnerabilities, I would say yes, that will be a good reason for having software update and patches as part of the mobile AUP. I would keep this answer choice. Making sure that employees have the latest feature and user interface improvement. They don't care whether you have the latest feature or not as a company. They want to make sure their data is secure. That's their concern. They're not giving you this computer for entertainment. D is out. The answer C is in Charlie. What should you do now? You want to go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional MCQs, whether you are studying for your CPA exam or studying for your accounting courses or professional certification. Invest in yourself. Good luck, study hard, and of course, stay safe.